Hey everyone, this is VSG Steve with my 18-month update. I haven't done one of these for a while, so forgive me. Everything's just been really busy as people, we all live our lives everywhere and anywhere. Just I've For people who are just new to the channel, I had a VSG surgery back in June 2016 at Warringal Hospital with Heidelberg weight loss surgery, with Kieran Bhatia. And my starting weight was 155.5 kilos, and the lowest weight I've been down to was 93 kilos. But probably in the last couple of months, I've ranged between about 95 and 97 kilos. So I'll put the pounds down below because I haven't organised that in front of me, but that's fine. You can have a look at that later. Which means I've been sitting around, have lost about 60 kilos through the process, which I think works out to being about 130 pounds or something like that. So what's been happening since my last update? And I think I did my last update was about the 16th month mark, and I had just completed my second half marathon, which was an achievement. And then and I think I mentioned in that video that I was that was pretty much going to be the end of the running season for me, now leading into the triathlon season. So we're actually 2 or 3 months since that has happened, and the triathlon season is really harked up and getting going. Not sure if I mentioned in the last, one of the decisions I had at the previous, around that time, was what my next aims were going to be, and there was a decision I was looking at doing, was do I move up to the next, I'd been doing some Olympics and some sprint events last season, and looking, do I move up to the half Ironman stage, or do I stay at the sprint and Olympics? And what I've actually done is I've focused on the sprint and Olympics and trying to get some extra speed in each of those. So my goals for triathlons this season was actually going to be to try and do a sprint under an hour and a half. So that would be a swim for 750 metres, 20 kilometre ride, and 5 kilometre run, and also to do an Olympic distance, which is 1.5 kilometre swim, 40k ride, and 10k run, and try and do that under 3 hours. And so the other thing that I've made a decision this season was to try and focus on some smaller races. So there's a big series that happens around Melbourne, which used to be called the Gatorade Series, which is now called the 2XQ Series, and they get probably a couple of thousand people competing in that event, and it's a pretty big event. There's another series which I found, which I was going to try and do a couple of their races last year but didn't get a chance, was the Western Suburbs Triathlon series, which is actually just a local triathlon club, which is on the other side of Melbourne, in Altona, but they do about a series of about 5 or 6 races for the season, and they're a lot more low key. So I decided to focus on those races, because they're cheap. You can join the club for about $50 if you're a member of another triathlon club, which I'm a member of the Nunawading Triathlon Club. And you can actually do, if you join their club, you can do a race for $25, where the other races that you're doing are $130, $140. So I'm being a cheapskate and doing that. So they had the first race for the season was in November, so I did the first race, and I actually ended up finishing third in my age group, which was a achievement in itself, and it sounds fantastic, but when you actually look at the results, there was actually only 3 people in my age group. So I'm not going to gloat too much about it, but as I was saying earlier, one of my goals was to do a sprint distance race under an hour and a half, and I actually ended up doing it in an hour and 22 minutes. So it was a huge effort, and I was completely stoked that I blew that mark out of the water. So then we had another race in just before Christmas, And I had a bit of a incident with my bike. I'd done a fantastic swim. I was really pleased with my swim, and then went to jump on my bike, and I actually, for anyone who rides bikes, they know what a derailleur is, but it's the little gearing mechanism at the back of your bike which actually pushes the chain from one gear to the other gear. And when I jumped onto the bike, my ankle hit the derailleur and smashed up the derailleur. So my race was over for the day. But in the end, I actually re-racked my bike and actually did the run leg twice, just to make myself feel like I'd done something. So I was really stoked for that. One of the things that I've actually been doing a lot of since in the last couple of months is doing some park runs. So I think I might have mentioned that in the last video, but I really really highly commend the idea of and highly recommend park run to people. They're a 5 kilometre run that happens in parks all over the world at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. And it's a timed run. It's run by volunteers, so it's a free fun run. And what you actually do is you register online as a park run competitor, and then you can and they give you a little barcode, and you can actually go to any park run and around the world on a Saturday morning, and you can actually do that run. So, I've actually been trying to do them reasonably regularly. I don't do them every Saturday morning, but it's a really good kind of motivating thing to actually get out there on a Saturday morning, go and do your park run, and then come home. And you can do them locally. You've got a home base, you can do them, or you can actually do it when you're away. So I was in Adelaide about a month ago on a trip with a mate, and I ended up doing a park run over there, which was fantastic. And I actually did my PB in the park run there. So it was fantastic. The other thing that I've been doing in the sense of my training is doing a lot more hill climbing and really getting into the cycling and doing some hill climbing and things like that. So there's a very famous hill climb in Melbourne called in the Dandenongs, which is out in the eastern suburbs, called the 1 to 20, which it's about a 6 kilometre ride and to rise over that 6 kilometres. And it's pretty much the most famous hill climb in Melbourne for cyclists. And I had the opportunity to do that with a mate a couple of weeks ago, about 2 or 3 months ago, and which was fantastic. And I've been able to go up there a couple of times and do that, and I'm actually doing it again this Sunday, which is fantastic. And then we also did through the Triathlon Club on Christmas Eve each year. They do what they call the crucifix ride, which is 3 climbs in the Dandenongs, which the 1 to 20 is one of them, and then they do 3 of them. They do the 4 climbs, and they all lead to a certain point on the Dandenongs, and then ride down. I was able to do 2 out of the 4 of them, which I was pretty stoked with. And I've done the 1 to 20, which is the one that I've talked about, and then the Inverness, which is actually the hardest of the 4. So I've got 2 others there to do, and I'm hoping to give them a crack in the next couple of weeks and see how I go with them. The other one thing that I wanted to mention was I had my surgery, my 18 months catch up with my surgeon, and him talking about how I was going and things like that, and had my blood test. He was over the moon about my blood test and my blood results and things like that. He did one of the things that when I went and saw him at my 12-month and when I came back in my 18-month, I'd actually put on about 2.5 kilos or 3 kilos. So it was very kind of quizzing, why have you put that on? So he was really challenging me why I'd put that on. I'm eating, there's things that I've brought back into my diet, which I wasn't at that stage. Starting to eat a little bit more breads and a little bit more carbs and those kind of things. I am drinking a little bit more alcohol than I was drinking at that stage. But and probably not drinking as much water. So that's one of the things I'm really conscious of, just trying to go back to my basics and focus on my waters and things like that. And even over the Christmas period, my lowest I had got down to was 93, and that was straight after I'd done a half marathon. But I'd been bouncing around the 94, 95 for about 6 months, and then over Christmas period I actually banged up to 97, but over the last week or so I've really been focusing back on my waters and trying to get back. And I also find that I eat better when I'm at work, in the sense of it's a lot more structured than when I'm at home. And I had a week at home last week, so my food wasn't great, and that also didn't. Christmas and all that kind of stuff didn't help the situation. So yeah, so that's but it's really conscious. I'm really conscious of that kind of stuff. The other thing that was we talked about was before I had surgery, I used to donate blood, and there's been a bit of a saga in the sense of me being able to go back to giving blood. In the sense of my surgeon says I'm fine, I've always been fine, but the blood bank have been a bit conscious there in their regulations and things like that. So now it's only just now that I've been approved to be able to give blood. So I'm hoping to be able to go back to book in an appointment to donate blood again, which I think we talk about NSGs, but this is really going back to my previous life and being able to feel that I still being able to do those kind of things that I haven't been able to do since my surgery. So the other one thing I wanted to touch on today was the difference in my eating habits when I have a big training week and I have a not so big training week. I've really noticed in the sense of when I have a big training week, which is most weeks, I'm really nibbling on food, and I really, there's times that I can't get enough food into me. I'm not eating like full meals, but I nibble. I'm always nibbling little things and trying to get lots of fruit in and those kind of things. But one of the things I did notice, I had a bit of a quiet training week, the week leading into Christmas, and it was funny because I'm really conscious I actually had a bit of vomiting that happened after a couple of those meals, and that was just because I think I'm so used to being able to put so much in that I wasn't going back to that kind of situation of remembering slowly eat and remembering those small mouthfuls. So even 18 months down, I still need to keep focusing on that eating and working on that process and things like that. So anyway, that's about it. Hope everyone's going well, and it's great to be back. I'll just do updates when I get a chance to do updates, and if there's any questions or anything like that, please always feel free to message me. One thing I did want to mention is if people can follow me through the usual things, but if people that have got an interest in seeing what I'm doing training wise, you can always jump onto Strava, which is a software package where you can actually look at a package where you can actually look at what training I've done and things like that. So and for anyone who's been getting into a bit of training, especially running, swimming, or cycling, it's a really good tracker in those kind of things. So, all right, guys, I'll catch up with you soon, and hope you're all going well. See you soon. Bye.